He walked into the audition room wearing simple work clothes. There was no entourage or fame, but just nerves, hope, and a quiet strength in his voice. When Richard Goodall stood in front of millions on America's Got Talent, no one expected the janitor from Terre Haute, Indiana, to redefine what it means to dream. The story of this viral moment goes back to decades in the making. A story about overlooked greatness, perseverance in silence, and a voice that refused to be ignored until it just couldn't be. His name soon echoed across the whole country. The years of unseen passion and zeal were the ultimate reason behind the spotlight that finally shined upon him. What happened next and after was far more surprising than anyone could have thought. Richard Goodall didn't grow up in Hollywood or Nashville. Neither was he trained at Juilliard or discovered by a record label scout. He was born and raised in Terre Haute, a place like many others in the heart of America, full of working-class families, small-town dreams, and big hearts. As a boy, Richard would close his bedroom door, turn up his Radio Shack stereo, and sing with the kind of passion only a dreamer could understand and resonate with. Those four walls were his stage. His voice, raw and emotional, was his escape. He felt every note that came through his singing. But life, as it usually does, had other plans for him. With college out of reach, he took a job as a janitor at Chauncey Rose Middle School. He didn't complain, but worked in quiet, with faith and love for 23 years. But music, it remained a significant part of himself, with his singing getting more life to it. Imagine, you're walking to class, the floor freshly cleaned, and from around the corner, you hear a voice that is rich, soulful, soaring above the linoleum and lockers. Students would freeze and teachers would peek out of their classrooms. Richard, with a mop in his hands, would just keep singing. He became known as the singing janitor. Richard wasn't just a janitor to the kids, but he was a quiet mentor, a friendly face, a listening ear. Some students confided in him more than their teachers. He knew every corner of the school, every creak in the floorboards, but more importantly, he knew the struggles many kids were facing. He became a steady presence in their lives, offering encouragement through his small gestures and sometimes through his lively music. And yet, most of the world still didn't know his name. In 2022, during a school event, Richard was asked to perform. He chose "Don't Stop Believin'" by Journey, an anthem of hope that seemed to echo his own life story. A teaching assistant pulled out their phone and recorded the moment and uploaded it to TikTok. Overnight, the video exploded with 100,000 views in a day, over 1 million by the weekend. Even Journey's frontman Steve Perry left a comment. The world had finally heard what those students had known for years. How many extraordinary talents walk among us, unnoticed, simply because they were never given a stage. That viral video caught the attention of America's Got Talent. And to his amaze, Richard found himself under the dazzling lights of the biggest talent show in the country. On May 27, 2022, he stood in front of Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Sofia Vergara, and Howie Mandel. Nervous yet composed and hopeful. When he sang, something magical happened. Heidi Klum slammed the golden buzzer, gold confetti rained from above, and in the next moment, a janitor from Indiana had just become America's golden boy. Richard signed his first deal that came from the recording labels. His debut album, Believe Again, was a collection of originals and heartfelt covers. His music was a love letter to every dreamer who had ever felt forgotten. Recording was a world away from his quiet Indiana life. Yet inside the studio, he felt like he always belonged there. His lyrics told his story alongside the melodies decorating his journey. One of his most unforgettable moments came when he was invited to sing at the Grand Ole Opry. As he walked onto that historic stage, the crowd stood in anticipation. When he sang, they stood up again with nothing but awe. But even amid the applause and flashing lights, Richard often found himself overwhelmed. Fame had come fast, and with it came the expectations, deadlines, and voices pulling him in every direction. He missed the quiet of his Indiana mornings, missed being Mr. Richard to kids instead of the guy from TV. Behind the smile, he wrestled with the weight of becoming a symbol when he had only ever meant to share his voice. Fame changes many, but it was different in Richard's case. He returned to Terre Haute, not as a celebrity, but as his true authentic self. He walked the same school hallways, greeted the same teachers, and to his pure joy hugged the same kids. But now the janitor has become a hometown hero. To give back, he created the Believe in Fund at Chauncey Rose Middle School, helping students chase their own musical dreams because Richard knew what it felt like to dream without the means. What does it truly mean to be successful? Fame and fortune, or the ability to lift others as you rise? It felt like a homecoming when Richard returned after America's Got Talent. The entire city welcomed him like a rock star. The mayor gave him the keys to the city. Students threw a pep rally in his honor. The hallways echoed with the chorus of "Don't Stop Believin'," sung not by him this time, but by the children he inspired. For once, Richard didn't have to clean up after the party, because this time he was the reason behind the celebration. And instead of rushing back to work, he took his time. He high-fived students, gave hugs, smiled at teachers. His presence was more than symbolic. It was therapeutic and resonated with hope and kindness. Beyond the limelight, Richard now travels to schools across the country, sharing his story, reminding students that dreams don't come with expiration dates. His message is simple but powerful. Keep going, keep dreaming, and keep singing no matter what. Behind the scenes, he's kept a lower profile lately. No splashy headlines or dramatic paparazzi chases, but just quiet community events, family time, and the occasional studio sessions. In interviews, Richard has hinted at the simple truth many artists face, that fame doesn't always bring fulfillment. He found more joy in a heartfelt conversation with a student than in signing autographs. His story was more than just about reaching the top. It was about staying grounded, choosing impact over image, and reminding everyone that success doesn't always mean changing the core of who you are. Some have questioned the America's Got Talent narrative. Was it all too perfectly timed? Was the story crafted for ratings? But those who've met Richard know better. The tears, the voice, the humility, and how it's all real. In a world obsessed with perfection, are we missing the raw beauty of authenticity? Back in the studio, Richard continues to create music that reflects his journey, including the loneliness of deferred dreams, the joy of unexpected miracles, and the quiet courage of showing up every day, even when nobody's watching. His story transcends talent and shows how it's all about the purity of a human heart, which builds resilience and kindness. He reminds us all that life's biggest moments often come when we least expect them. That greatness doesn't always come with a spotlight. Sometimes it wears janitor blues and carries a mop. Richard Goodall's story isn't over. It's still being written in the notes of his songs, in the dreams of the students he's inspired, in the quiet strength of every person who keeps believing despite the odds. He won our hearts along with a golden buzzer. And as he continues his journey from being janitor to an artist, from school hallways to national stages, one truth remains, and that is, the best dreams are often the ones that take the longest to come true. What dream have you set aside, thinking it was too late? And what if now is the perfect time to chase it?